Hey guys, Chicky here, and Goosebumps is amazing! Not only is it a super successful series of books, but it also generated a TV show that lasted for 4 seasons, following all those great stories. They are so great that I made Lytane watch all of them, and he absolutely loves them, isn't that right, Lytane? See, loves them. Time to watch them all for a 4th time.
Beware, you're in for a scare.
Goosebumps the TV show aired in 1995 and ran until 1998, comprising of 4 seasons. This aired 3 years after the first book in the series was released, and nearly every single episode is based on the original 62 books. Some of these episodes are based on short stories from Tales of the Goosebumps, and 2 of them were based on Goosebumps 2000 books. Out of the entire run, only 3 episodes are fully original, called the Trilogy series. And then a different episode has a sequel to Monster Blood that borrows a lot from later Monster Blood books, but it's an original tale. Now this show is episodic, meaning that you can watch nearly any episode at any time, as they all stand alone. The exceptions, of course, are the 2-part episodes. This was good when I was a kid, because when it came on I could watch it without any issue. As they are all standalone stories, I'm not going to go over the plots to all 74 episodes, but I'll give you a vague premise to most of the stories. A 12-year-old kid is the main character, where most of the time they either move into a new location, stay with a strange relative, or get a new item. So many episodes have the main character just get into town or something, and it's just borderline ridiculous. Anyway, soon after, something happens to startle the main character, usually generating a scream which cuts to the first ad break, before revealing that it wasn't anything scary. Well, when the kid goes to discover what is going on, either through curiosity or because they need to in order to live, some scares happen as the tension rises before being concluded, usually in a nice and happy way. But the most important part of any Goosebumps story is that it ends with a twist! Some kind of twist, like the bad guy was still around, or what we thought we knew wasn't true. Some of these twists are good and some are bad, and some just make you question what the hell was going through R.L. Stein's head when he wrote them. If the episode story is a 2-parter, then when the first episode ends, they would usually leave it with a break of some kind of cliffhanger where the main character is in some kind of danger. The start of the next episode usually has the kids get out of the danger pretty soon. Sometimes there's even a twist midway through the tale that they end on. But whatever happens, there is sure to be some silly acting and over-the-top rubber masks in Goosebumps, the TV show. That's better. Now, because Goosebumps is such a big show and Chicky's gonna kill me if I don't talk about it, I'm gonna be talking about this in 2 different sort of styles. I'm going to be doing some very broad strokes when it comes to some of the things in here, and then I'll go into a bit more specific details with some of the episodes as I see fit. To start with, I want to talk about the acting in this show and all of its ups and downs. Now, because of the nature of this show being episodic, nearly every episode has a new kid in the starring role. Of course, in 2-parters, they keep the same kid for both parts, and some kids actually come back for a different story in a different episode. Because of this, they go through a lot of child actors through the course of the show, and man, some of them are really good, and some of them are okay, and then some of them are just really, really bad. Now, it may be partly due to some of the scripts, because some of the stories in the show are absolutely horrendous, but, you know, when you give it a bad script, even some good actors can still shine through. I will say though, as I've been watching the episodes, I've been looking up the cast, and most of the time, this is their first acting role, so I can easily forgive them for not being, like, the amazing stars. So I've not read all of the Goosebumps books, and some of these stories might be better in book form, but whether it's because of the source material, the actors, or the writing, some of these episodes just come across really, really boring and shit. So I've had to watch through all 74 episodes on a constant marathon, so I can easily tell you now that some episodes are just plain shit.
What did you say? Goosebumps is shit?
I mean, no, there's so many great episodes and they're all so fun, haha!
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
let's just talk about the negatives while he's gone. And fair warning, I'll be revealing the twists for many of these episodes that I talk about because I need to talk about the twist endings. It's integral. Now that I've seen the entire Goosebumps TV show, some episodes are just plain hilarious in how bad they are. Take this episode for example, My Hairiest Adventure. Aaron Bartcue plays a kid named Larry who is always harassed by dogs and allergies. One day he's practicing with his pretty horrible band in an abandoned house's garage when they find some old tanning lotion and put it on. This causes a lot of strange hair to grow on him, which leads to the most awkward lines in TV history. The two main characters talk about hair growing in strange places. Just watch.
Lily, did you notice anything last night? Where you rubbed that instant tan on? I mean, like, involving hair?
Hair? What do you mean?
I mean hair, you know, like where you don't expect to see it.
Are you growing some unexpected hair?
No, are you?
No, are you?
No, I just thought maybe you...
I what?
Growing hair in weird places. Never mind.
Hairy Larry.
I mean, why? Not only that, but the whole episode is awkward and just poorly acted. The twist of this tale is also pretty stupid. It turns out that the kids are turning into dogs because they were always dogs. Some scientist turned them into humans as an experiment, but it doesn't last, so he comes up with a new experiment and turns their cat into a human. Kinda lame. Now that episode is a prime example of something that really annoys me about this show as a whole, and that's the fact that they do a lot of the recording of the voices after the fact in ADR. Now that's something that they do on TV and film literally all the time, and ADR stands for after dialogue recording. It can stand for a few other things that mean similar stuff, but just don't worry about it. Just remember that you get into a booth after you've finished filming for the day and you just record your lines over the top of some of the other ones. They do this because sometimes the lines don't come out clearly whilst on set, there's lots of noise or a car comes past, or sometimes they just want to change the actual lines so they get the actors to do it in a different way. Now I'm not 100% sure that this is the case, but a lot of the time it just doesn't quite sync up correctly with the face and the words. Like, it just feels unnatural, like it just doesn't... Yeah, like, because sometimes the actors have an actual line of dialogue and you can hear the sounds around them, but then another character will speak and you don't hear those same sounds, and it's really off-putting and jarring in my opinion. Like that episode I just looked at, the kid barely opens his mouth throughout the entire episode. Like, no joke, he talks like this through the entire episode, but you can hear him just fine. Now, one of the more boring episodes is called You Can't Scare Me, where a girl named Courtney, played by Charlotte Sullivan, who you might know if you watched a show called Rookie Blue. I never have, but you know. She plays a top student that is super annoying and perfect in every way, an overachiever that all the teachers love. This gets on the nerves of Hat and Eddie, two idiots in the class, as they aim to scare her. They try a snake in her bag, but she loves snakes, so they try a spider, but she isn't afraid of them either. They learn that she used to be scared of a fictional mud monster in the swamp, so they lure her out there in order to scare her, but of course the monster is real. She tells them off for being silly as the monster advances to attack, but she isn't scared once again. She starts telling the monster off, saying, "Why are you so angry? You're wasting your time. Maybe you should get with other, like, lady swamp monsters and stuff." As time goes on, she talks and talks until the sun comes out and he solidifies. She talked the monster to death. Then the police come and she becomes famous for discovering a monster and saving the two kids. This episode is so annoying on so many levels because of Courtney. I know that was the intention and, you know, great job for making her so annoying, but you aren't rooting for her. You're rooting for the other kids because she is such a bitch, and by the end of the episode, there is no payoff. She becomes famous and that's it. I was looking forward to seeing her fall from grace, but nothing. The twist here is that it rains and the monster comes back to life. That's it. It's a waste of 22 minutes. Something that I think is also good and bad about this show are the special effects that they have used here. For the most part, they use practical effects, which is something that I absolutely love. They use a variety of masks and costumes and props in order to convey the different monsters, and I think they look pretty cool a lot of the time. Not all of them are to the same caliber, you know, some of them aren't nearly as good as some of the other ones, but you know, for the most part, they really stand out and they really hold up even to today. I think the use of practical effects helps with this show's longevity. If they had gone the CGI route, which was just sort of coming around about this time, then I know for a fact that it would have looked absolutely shit, like a lot of CGI around this time, because it was just a new concept and they didn't really know what to do with it. And if they had done it here, then it would have dated the show even more than what these rubber masks have done. So even though some of these effects are utter shit, it does have a charm to it, and you know that these things are actually there on set. You know that when the kids are being attacked by a monster, that guy in a suit is really there and he can actually touch them. This makes the threat legitimate throughout the majority of the episode. They aren't just running around and, running away from something in thin air. I even like the way they use some of the lighting and the effects in this to make the monsters look legitimately scary by not revealing the whole thing and using shadows and contrast. Let's keep talking about mixed bags and talk about another episode called One Day in Horrorland. The idea behind this episode is that the Morris family gets lost whilst driving to their holiday spot and stumble upon the place called Horrorland. Upon arrival, the horrors, which are green monsters most of the time with horns, put a strange device on their car. But it's fine, they're just people in suits, right? Well, the kids split up from the parents to play on the rides, which is all free by the way. Damn, I wish I could go to that amusement park. While the parents go around and park noticing odd things and have some adventures as well. It turns out the rides are very scary, with live spiders and making you think you're about to be crushed. But it's all just fun, right? The place is called Horrorland after all. When some other families get ushered into a strange room, everything just doesn't feel quite right, and when the family tries to leave, they can't. They get thrown into the room for some kind of dastardly deed. Then comes the second episode, which I absolutely loved. It turns out that this was all part of a reality TV show for a monster cable network, and they've been laughing about how scared everyone was getting. They then get the family to continue playing the game show by saying that they could win a sports utility car if they do. The parents want it, so they play along, and it's just so much fun. The lights and colors are great, the jokes are funny and silly, and some are for kids and some are for adults, and it's just so well written. They even have fake monster ads like a compilation of the greatest monster love songs ever made, which made me laugh. But it turns out to be a sham, and they are going to be fed to a different monster for lunch. They are saved by a horror that hates the host, thinking that he could do a better job before he is killed. Yep. Killed. This show doesn't hold back. Now this is where the episode starts to piss me off. They get into the car after being chased and drive away safely, but that device that the horrors put on the car in the first episodes allowed the host to drive the car. They aren't safe just yet. He drives them to a cliff and leaves them there balancing precariously on the edge, even making a joke about this being a cliffhanger. And he's all but right, because this is where the episode pretty much ends. The twist here is that it zooms out as this is happening and it shows the two monsters watching the show, and one gets fed up and he turns off saying he doesn't want to watch any more reality TV. What the actual fuck? I just spent 2 full episodes with these people in this family and this is how they end the episode? I can't believe that they would do something like that. What happens to the family? Do they live? Do they die? I want closure to what I'm seeing, but nothing will ever come. I cared for them and I'll never know what happens, and that fucking pisses me off like nothing else. Besides the last 2 minutes, this was one of my favorite episodes. Oh, it just gets me so fired up. Now I know that R.L. Stine is famous for putting a twist ending just like Shyamalan does at the end of his books, and some of them are legitimately good, some of them aren't so good, and some of them makes you question what the hell was going through R.L. Stine's brain. Like honestly, he must have been smoking something crazy, because some of these are just so left field, you just go, what the fudge. We've seen a few of them now, so you could judge them for yourself too. So I'm about to ruin some other twists here for a 20-year-old show. So, one of them has a group of kids going and fighting a vampire, and from the start I was like, yep, those kids are vampires. And that's the twist. Or at the end of the episode, stay out of the basement where their dad clones himself into a plant. It turns out that all the plants in the garden start saying, no, I'm your father, and it's like, what the fudge is this? One of the twists has Slappy's soul from Bride of the Living Dummy, leaving his Slappy body because of the episode, and he travels into the body of one of the kids, and this is the result.
Nah, I told you to only talk about the positives. Talk about a great episode right now.
Okay, I'm sorry. So one of the better episodes is Night of the Living Dummy 2. They never made an episode of the first one for some reason, maybe because it barely has Slappy in it. This one has this weird family where they have talent nights all the time, where different family members show off some of their skills. Amy, played by Maggie Castle, which has some fame to her, look it up, is a ventriloquist, but her dummy is getting old, so her dad gets her a new one, and it's Slappy. She reads the famous line, which I'm not going to say just in case something else comes to life, and Slappy starts causing a mischief. This includes terrorizing Amy's sister Sarah, played by Katerina Scorsone, who may look familiar if you like Grey's Anatomy. This episode draws a lot of parallels from the movie Child's Play actually, where the other characters don't believe when Amy is saying that Slappy is real and alive, and he does some pretty crummy things to the family before they finally realize that yes, he's alive and they have to put a stop to him. Now I quite like this episode because it is so stupid. My girlfriend and I watched through this and we were just making so much fun of everything in this episode. We had a blast watching it. This family has so many talent nights. Is that normal? Like, I thought most people like watch TV or hang around and read a book, or like because of the age of some of these kids, they just go off in their room because they're angsty teenagers. But no, they have talent nights where the daughter shows off her ventriloquist skills. Hell, the dad learns how to play If You're Happy and You Know It on the guitar, and he's so proud that he plays it for the entire family. It's just so batshit crazy. Like, I didn't get it why it was like this at all. It's just so dumb. The acting is over the top, and Slappy absolutely steals the show from his pretty mean but funny jokes, and the way he looks, it's just really, really menacing and not at the same time. It's really, really cool. In my opinion, this is also one of the more memorable episodes of the entire series. So the twist here is that by the end, the family don't know how to deal with Slappy, but it turns out that another doll, the original one that Amy had called Danny, picks up Slappy and throws him into the fire, cracking his face and, you know, releasing his spirit so he can't do any more mischief. And Danny, the old puppet, says, "Oh, now I can have you all to myself." So they just went from one psychopathic dummy to another, really. It's an alright ending, and I honestly didn't see the twist coming, which is pretty good. Now let's move on to a story that has a lot of potential at the start, but quickly falls flat before the end, and that is Ghost Beach. This has two kids, Jerry and Terry, visiting their cousins at their beach home before learning about ghosts. Now first off, how old are these two people to be their cousins? They look more like grandparents than anything else, but okay, whatever. Terry likes to play with gravestones. Well, everyone needs a hobby, I guess, before they bump into Sam and Louisa, who share the same last name as them, Sadler. I guess they are relatives as well. They tell our heroes that a ghost named Harrison Sadler stalks this beach and to be careful, then they act all weird and kinda go away. Later they find the obviously fake and plastic bones of an animal on the beach and are told that ghosts like to eat dogs and that this is what they look like. They do this because dogs bark at ghosts. At night, they see a light in a cave and go to investigate when they meet a strange guy living there. Stranger danger, but he says he isn't a ghost and that he is actually studying them. He is just named after Harrison Sadler and he's a distant relative. I mean, is everyone that lives near this frickin' beach a Sadler? He does say that Sam and Louisa are actually the ghosts instead and that they should try and lure them to him. They go out and believe him because why not, and they find the other kids at their graves. They say it's a coincidence and that they were named after their old relatives. They use the same excuse. They also say that they aren't ghosts and that the other guy is and that they need to trap him in a cave. How? With rocks. Apparently ghosts can't go through rocks. What the fuck? How does that make any sense? They are ghosts. Can't they just go through anything they want? Why rocks? This is so stupid. But they go and try and seal the cave when Harrison comes out with a dog and starts barking at the kids. They were indeed ghosts. And boy, the special effects here just the absolute worst. Like, just fucking terrible. Lightning strikes and the ghost kids along with that other guy are trapped within the confines of the cave. Good old rocks. That's what the Ghostbusters should have been using all along. Rocks. The twist ending is that at home, the dog follows them back and barks at the old cousins, implying that they are ghosts as well and that they say they're gonna eat this dog. That's how it ends. Now I'm gonna say that this is just a stupid episode. The whole thing is just he's a ghost. No, he's a ghost. And at the end we know that the kids are ghosts, but what about that man? Well, if he wasn't one before, he is one now thanks to him dying from that frickin' rock slide. The episode is just not interesting at all. The whole time I was yawning until the end when I was just screaming at the TV, what the fuck? It's just an absolute mess. Also, the twist ending comes out of nowhere. How did the kids get sent to live with ghosts? Do the family write to them or something? What will happen now that the kids know that they're ghosts? They're just hanging out at the beach until the parents come pick them up, or are they gonna get killed, or what? Should they call the cops, or hell, throw some rocks at the ghost? That obviously seems to work. This is just a mess of an episode, and the only way to describe it is a big what the fuck.
Ah, it hurts. I told you to only talk about how great Goosebumps is. I don't think you have learned your lesson.
I think I get it now. Negative reviews hurt him. Go Eat Worms was slow, boring, and gross with no real plot or character development, and the main kid deserved everything that he got because he's a sadistic little creep.
No!
Calling All Creeps is the worst story in the entire series. The main character is just so uninteresting and poorly acted, and the class around him just treat him like absolute shit, and it doesn't make any sense. And then the plot itself has them taking over the school with some alien things, and then they assume that he is their commander. Why is his commander? It doesn't really make any sense, and then they question everything he does. And then the moral of the story is that he turns everybody into creeps because they continually treat him like shit. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why would he do that? And why was he such a jerk and everything like that? It's just so annoying, and there's no real payoff towards the end, and the actual twist is the fact that he turns into a creep himself so he can be Lord Commander. Like, why the fuck was he Commander in the first place?
Stop it! Stop it!
The entire episode has nothing learned and nothing gained. By the end of the episode, you just go, why the fuck did I watch this? It was so annoying and boring and frustrating.
I can't take it anymore. You've talked ill about Goosebumps for the last time. I'm gonna have to deal with you.
Will Chicky win and burn holes through Lytane? Will Lytane get out of this? Tune in next week to see the exciting new episode of the Goosebumps series, and don't forget to cycle subscribe. Should have done this slightly tighter. It's super loose. Haha, got out. No, that's a lie. Now, I told you that R.L. Stine is famous for his twist, just like Shamalama Ding Dong, and... no, I shouldn't do that. Shamalama Ding Dong. Chicky and friends.